Hey, yeah, this is Marcello, disciple Marcello Currents. So this is the conclusion to the misperceptions of the Antichrist. This is the conclusion, so I'm just wrapping it up. I didn't want to leave that last video like that. So I wanted to, kind of finish up my thought. So God can give you basically miracles that creates what you need through all the natural elements. And you can see that through with Moses. He let the children of Israel was led through the Red Sea. He parted the Red Sea, the water. A miracle. He created that, literally, a way through the water. And that altered the natural elements and limitations of the water, and God was able to create it what they needed. The water was there, but God was able to create what they needed. They needed a way out. They needed to beat the enemy. They needed the enemy to be consumed by the water. So God just is amazing to where he just gave them the way out, also defeating the enemy with the same element. Altering the element, letting them get through it, and then consuming the enemy with the element. So God can create you literally create worlds within worlds, because that was a world. That was not like planet Earth. That was a world where water was parted, if you will, or a geographical place where the water was parted, which is beyond Earth's functions. You follow me? So this was not an earthly function. It was on the geographics of Earth, but it was not an earthly function. So it was like the geographics of another world. So he parted the sea, parted the water. The water don't even supposed to do that. He made the water part. So God can create a whole nother world within the earth's structure for you to get what you need. He can create any situation. That's what that and I saw that to say this, it comes back to my point, which is God is limited, unlimited in any outcomes, anything you need, but you have to pursue him. You can't just be a church attending person. If you look at the people in the Bible, they fasted for 40 days. They fasted all the time. Fasting is the spiritual weapon that the enemy hates the most, because the wicked pray and they are confident. The wicked praise and are confident. But no of the wicked will not fast. They cannot fast unto the Lord. They don't have that discipline to just fast unto the Lord, and they're not in the Lord. But anyone can say a prayer hoping it hits heaven. You know what I mean? But it's a whole nother thing and lifestyle to fast. So that's the weapon. If you look at all these people that had these miracles happen for them, they were fasting. It's very important that Christians understand this, that you can't just say a kiss to the sky on Sunday and expect God to give you miracles like parting the Red Sea, creating worlds within your world for you. It's not going to happen like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen. You have to be diligent with your seeking of God. The Bible says he is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. He rewards those that diligently seek him, not just with money, with all type of supernatural power and authority, and just worlds within worlds, opening worlds within worlds here on earth. So God can go beyond the natural limitations that the world shows you. They show you the water. And God's saying, I can part that. I can do something about that. When the world give you limitations, God says, I can do something about that. You got to believe, though. You got to have faith and you got to have corresponding action. You got to fast and elevate your spirit and accelerate in the spiritual world through worship and prayer and praise and fastings. That's what you got to do. This is how you accelerate. This is how you go beyond the wicked, beyond their levels of rank in the spiritual world. They cannot go as far as we can go. You can go way beyond, out of their reach. I'm way beyond their reach. They think that they're in my dimension, or they're piercing my dimension, but they're not piercing my dimension. I could be like, even as I'm in my apartment, I'm in this room. There could be somebody downstairs. They're in a whole nother dimension to me. Although geographically, they're 15, 20 feet away from me. We're in literally two different worlds, 15 feet apart. And that's what you got to understand. That's part of the just shall, and the scripture says, the just shall walk by faith and not by sight. The just shall walk by faith and not by sight. That's part of it. You know what your world is and what you're doing. So when you hear and see and your senses are exposed to the things around you, you already know they're in two different dimensions than you, and the dimension you're in is way higher than theirs. You know what I mean? They're limited. That's why they're always manipulating circumstances and then trying to ultimately manipulate you. And all you have to know is they can't manipulate your reality. They can't, because first of all, you're accelerating. In the spiritual world, if you could be seen, you're not ever just standing. You're constantly walking. And sometimes you're running. And when you fast, it's like you can get in the jet and take off. Now you're fasting. Did you just get that? You're fasting. You're going fast. Because when you fast, you go fast in the spiritual world. The more you fast, the further you go, because you're moving fast. And that's a fact. When you fast in the spirit, when you're fast in the spirit, you're moving fast. That's a fact. Say that again. When you fast in the spirit, you're moving, you're progressing, you're accelerating fast. That's why the devil hates it. You got all this food around us, you got all these things around us. People don't even think about fasting. As soon as they step outside, you got all kind of restaurants everywhere. Smelling bakeries, smelling all kind of foods. And in America, people don't think it takes all that. But it does. It does. It takes all you can offer and all you're willing to do. It takes that. And you can't be a high-ranking general on this side without fasting. That's why you have to do it when you're young. Because when you get old, you get limited. You can't really do it. Unless the Lord be with you, you have to get to a point where the Lord strengthens you to do it when you get a certain age, when you get in a certain age bracket. It gets harder and harder as the years go by. That's why I recommend fasting through your 20s. If you're 20, fast through your 20s like there's no tomorrow. That's what I did. All through my 20s. I received the Lord when I was 18. And all through my 20s, I was fasting. All my 20s. That is the time when you're young and your mind just doesn't care. Whatever you feel, you just dismiss it. You feel stuff and don't even worry about it when you're in your 20s. But when you get older, you get in your late 30s, early 40s, every little thing you feel, you start getting cautious. You can get cautious about. But when you're in your 20s, you can just soar, man. So I got that rank in my 20s of fasting, man. I can't tell you. I literally would not be able to give record account of how many times I fasted because all of it wasn't documented. And there's days and times and so many places I've been and lived and for reasons I fasted that I don't even remember them all. That's like, you know how your life should be in this as far as fasting. You fast so much, it's just like how when you pray, how many times you prayed. Can you actually count how many times you've actually prayed? It's no way you can do that. It's no way. You pray with other people. You pray within yourself. You just stopped and prayed sometimes. You pray with, watching TV with a pastor that might be on TV or, a Christian on TV. You've prayed in the shower. You've prayed everywhere. You pray while you eat. Before you eating, even though you did your grace, then you said another prayer. Then you start praying. You can't. It's impossible for a Christian to count how many times we've prayed. It's impossible. If you're really living that lifestyle, it's impossible. So it's the same thing in the realm of the spirit. I mean, with fasting. With fasting, you should be fasting so much, like how I have. I can't tell you. When I was in Seattle, I fasted so much. So many days, just random days, 2 days here, 1 day here, 3 days. And I can't even tell you all them times. I documented a lot of times. I used to document each month and set up, literal a whole schedule for the month for fasting. That's what I used to do in Seattle. That's how much I fasted. I already had the months set up, the days set up for each month. That's what you should do if you haven't done it before. Set up the month, so set up the days in the month so you'll already be preparing yourself mentally, physically, the food that you have, you can start preparing yourself, eating a little better, eating a little heavier, enjoying yourself before the days you're going to fast. You know what I mean? You got to make it a lifestyle. It can't be no spontaneous fasting all the time where you just fast when you feel it or you fast when trouble is coming. You got to make this a lifestyle. So you got to start getting strategic with it. You got to start, you got to start strategizing. You got to make this real. You got to make this a schedule in your life. And this is how you accelerate in the spiritual realm, and God is able to take you higher than the witches and warlocks and the telepaths and psychics. They're limited. They don't have nothing on somebody that's fasting, because the things that's being done in the realm of the spirit is so continuous and going for such a long distance. So many things are being done that they don't know what to touch and they don't know what to expect. That's why fasting is so important. It's one thing to hear somebody praying and then try to hinder that, or hinder their thoughts, try to hinder that. But fasting, it's a language that they can't decode. Fasting is a language in the spiritual world. It sends signals out and things done, and they cannot decode all that's being done. They can't interpret everything that you've done. They can't define everything that you've done. Everything that God has done for you, they can't define that. That's why it's so important. Fasting is so important. So it takes you way beyond the witches, way beyond the warlocks. And then you get in that place where you get rank with God, and you can get miracles because of the rank you have, to now where God is creating. Like I was telling you, going before you land the road, you want to go this further, you want to go this further, he goes more the road, more the road, more the road, more the road, more the road. Then when you come to a problem and issues and people and things, your rank and everything and the fasting that you've been doing, guess what? God comes in, boom, alter the elements, the natural elements, and part Red Seas, and part and rebuke enemies and destroy all kind of situations, and create worlds within your world just for you because of your rank, and because of your diligence in seeking Him. That's what you got to understand. This is not just given to people. This is not just given. Rank is not just given. You're not born into being a general. This is a military too. You're not born a general in the kingdom of God. You start out as a private. You start out, you go through your boot camps. You go through all that. You know what I'm saying? Then you come to positions where you're attacking. Now you can send out big weapons, nuclear bombs. You can send out nuclear bombs against witches and warlocks because you have that authority. You paid the price to touch that button. You paid the price in fasting and prayer and worship to touch the button to send nuclear bombs all over the country. That's why they can't understand, wow, how is this being done in the West Coast, how this being done in the East Coast, because you sending out nuclear bombs, man. They played with the wrong person. Now you got nuclear bombs going off. That's what it is. A nuclear bomb can literally almost blow up a good portion of a city, a average metropolis. Just imagine what you're doing. You sending off nuclear bombs, stuff that didn't even happen before. Since I've been in New York, they say they haven't had rain from Hurricane Ida. They hadn't had rain like that since 1860. So that's all the 1900s. In New York, they hadn't had rain like that since the 1860s. That was like a month ago. So all the 1900s, all the 60s, all the 80s, all the JFK through New York, Marilyn Monroe through New York, all your favorite rappers through New York, Prince through New York, Michael Jackson, they never had any of that kind of rain. And see, the wicked are trying to hide that information from you. You got to wake up and look and turn around and say, whoa, hold up. What I'm doing is sending out. So God is moving for me. My presence here is moving things. My presence here is getting things done. Because 1860 rain, they haven't had rainfall. That rainfall from Hurricane Ida broke records dating back to 1860. That's all the 1900s. All of the time of MLK, there was no rain like this. All the time of Malcolm X, there was no rain like this. All the time of George, all your presidents, Bill Clinton, all that going on. Obama, all that kind of, all that. All the 90s, all that. It's time to send off nuclear bombs. And it's not going to happen saying a little ta-ta prayer to the sky, and that's no disrespect to praying in the spirit. I'm the first person to get ready and the first person to want to do it. But just a little, prayer language on your tongue, and then a little kiss to the sky prayer is not going to make you no general. It's not going to make you able to move the mountains, those natural elements. God altering those geographics, creating you a new world, a world for you to navigate through. That's part of that. Moving those mountains is part of what I was telling you. Altering those natural elements and creating a world in the earthly geographics that shouldn't exist according to the earth. When you're moving mountains, literally, that's changing the that's something that should not happen in the earthly geographics. And God is able to do that for sure. But you can't just get it with mentally thinking about it. That's what a lot of Christians, especially young Christians, do. They think if I think about it long enough and if I think about it strong enough, that's not it. You got to also have faith. It works with your faith, with your expectation. And it's not just, it's not as simple as you think. It's very complex. And God would lead you with all the works. He would give you instructions. But you do what you first know to do. Just take off with fasting. Because the world cannot fast unto God. Other religions cannot fast unto God. You have the most beautiful gift. You can offer God a fast. The worldly wicked man cannot do this. Other religions cannot offer the Creator a fast. It is not accepted because they have not accepted Him. So their fasting is in vain. You see? So although people have thought they knew about fasting, they thought they knew what the effects of fasting is, they have not known the effects of fasting because they have not fasted unto the Creator. It's one thing to fast for a diet. It's one thing to fast to lose weight. For some people, they do it for that reason. It's one thing to fast just for, some kind of new age enlightenment and stuff that people be talking about. It's one thing to fast like that. And it's one thing to fast unto the Creator of all things. You start sending off nuclear bombs. Hear me? Start sending off nuclear bombs. And that's where you outmatch the dark side. They cannot even, the Antichrist and the forces, the Antichrist spirit or energy, because it's a mentality. He has to have his people. They cannot even compete with you. They can try to aggravate you. They can try, but the thing is, they have no reality to the reality that they're trying to manifest. If you notice, they cannot manifest that reality that they want to manifest of you in their life, in your life. So they cannot manifest their expectations in your life. It works on people unaware. It works on people that don't know no better, but it won't work on a man of God or a woman of God because you're constantly accelerating from the place that you were anyway. So by the time they shoot a bullet or they drop a missile, you have already moved. You've moved literally from that spot that you was at. And there's always spiritual repercussions too when you're in the Lord. So everything that they're doing, they won't be able to do it that same way. They'll be taken it off that post. They'll be shot down literally in the spiritual world off that post. This is real. This is no game. And if you talk to the right military, they have their faith in God. You talk to the right warriors out here, they'll tell you, yeah, you need this spiritual power. Cause witchcraft ain't no match. Witchcraft is nothing. If witchcraft was so powerful, how come they haven't changed the world? That's what I challenge them on. How come they can't just zap things and change things? They can't do it because they're not high ranking enough to create those realities. They're not creators. They're only manipulators. They're only alterers. They can only alter things. If you notice, that's all it is. That's all they're doing. If they was bad as their ego makes it seem, then they would have changed the world for black people. How come witches and warlocks have not changed the world for black people? Boom. How come these witches and warlocks have not changed racist white people? Boom. Because they can't do it. How come they have not done something to protect these children? They can't do it, man. That's what I'm trying to show you. They limited, man. They faking it. That's ego. That's pride, arrogance, deception. But you can go as high as you want. All right, y'all be blessed. Be blessed in the Lord. With the Lord, you can go as high as you want.